She said it on a Tuesday. No warning. No fight leading up to it. Just those 6 words over breakfast while she scrolled through Zillow on her phone, hair tied up in a messy bun. Still in the t-shirt I bought her for our first anniversary. You're just not ambitious enough. I had just poured her coffee. Hazelnut creamer. 2 sugars. Muscle memory at this point. But the words landed harder than the mug against the table. Not ambitious enough. Like a report card she'd been holding back for years. I didn't say anything right away. I just sat across from her and watched the woman I had built a life with pretend like she hadn't just lobbed a grenade into our marriage. She kept scrolling. Tap, swipe, scroll. Then she paused at a listing and turned the screen toward me. That's it. That's the dream. It was a penthouse. 2 stories. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Overlooking the river. Exposed brick. Custom lighting. Open concept. The kind of place you see in luxury lifestyle ads or in the background of someone's curated online life. You'd look great in this place, I said quietly. She laughed like I'd told a joke, and I guess I had, because I meant her, both of us, but she heard it like I meant her and someone else. She didn't look up from the screen when she added, someone like Daniel could get this for me. Daniel, the ex, the benchmark, the man with the venture capital firm and the Tesla and the 6-pack he somehow maintained despite a travel schedule that defied biology. I'd heard his name slip more than once in recent months. Never in comparison, not directly, but always there, lurking in the background like a watermark on her expectations. I didn't marry Daniel, she said, still looking at the screen. I married potential, but potential doesn't pay for dream apartments. That was the first crack. Not the moment our marriage ended, but the moment I saw that she had already started stepping away from the version of us I was still fighting to maintain. And the thing that gutted me wasn't the insult, it was the calmness. The way she said it like it was just truth. That day, after she left for her Pilates class, the one I paid for, I sat in the living room staring at our vision board. It still hung above the fireplace, peppered with magazine clippings and scribbled goals from late-night wine-fueled talks. Travel more. Start a business. Penthouse with a view. Never settle. I had helped her chase every single one. Backed her skincare line when it tanked. Drove 4 hours to pick up organic shelving units for her pop-up booth. Burned through savings to support her during the dry spells. But in her eyes, I was still the man who hadn't done enough. That night, I started researching. Not apartments. Not jobs. People. I wanted to know where Daniel lived now. What he did. Who he dated. His routines. I wasn't jealous. I was studying. Because for the first time, I realized this wasn't about money. It was about perception. She needed to believe she had chosen the best option. And right now, I wasn't it. So I made myself disappear. Not physically, emotionally. I became background noise. No arguments. No attempts to convince her she was wrong. I just faded. And while she drifted into whatever fantasy she thought she deserved, I made my move. I called Marco, an old friend from undergrad who now ran one of the most discreet real estate firms in the city. I told him I wanted a penthouse. Not just any penthouse. Hers. The dream one. The one she showed me that Tuesday morning over coffee. Marco raised an eyebrow when I told him, but he didn't ask questions. He knew I always had a reason. I paid cash. Quietly. Through an LLC I had created 3 years earlier when she mentioned wanting to diversify assets. The moment the papers were signed, I didn't move in. I didn't tell her. I didn't change anything. Instead, I listed it. Privately. Furnished. High-end clients only. 1 bedroom staged as a sleek bachelor pad. Then I reached out to Daniel. Not directly. I knew someone who knew someone. Casual conversation. Off-market opportunities. The kind of deals guys like him loved. 2 weeks later, he signed the lease. And just like that, my wife's dream apartment, the one she said someone like Daniel could get her, belonged to me. And he was living in it. On my terms. Paying rent to the man she said wasn't ambitious enough. She still doesn't know. Not yet. But I'm watching. Waiting. The keys sit in my drawer like a secret. And every month, the rent deposit hits my account like clockwork. A quiet reminder that sometimes, ambition isn't about noise. It's about patience. And control. The rent never missed. Daniel paid like clockwork. Always early. Always wired through his firm's financial officer. I wondered if he ever asked who owned the place. Or if, like so many men wrapped in their own image, he assumed everything elegant must have come from someone just like him. That part almost made me laugh. Because there he was, sipping espresso in the morning light, posting cryptic motivational quotes from the balcony she used to dream about, and every square foot belonged to the man she thought didn't want more. She still had no idea. At home, nothing changed. We still shared dinners, still kept up the appearance of love. But beneath the surface, it was all choreography. She grew warmer, oddly. I think my silence confused her. She mistook my stillness for stability, maybe even strength. And in a strange way, she started drawing closer. She began doing small things again, packing my lunch, texting me memes like we were in college. One night, she brought home my favorite cake, just because. I studied her carefully. Was it guilt? Or did she sense something shifting in the foundation she thought she built alone? Either way, I didn't break character. I listened, smiled, nodded, said I loved her. And somewhere in the corner of my mind, I began mapping the endgame. Because this wasn't about Daniel anymore. It never really was. It was about me reclaiming the ground I didn't even know I had surrendered. One Thursday evening, she mentioned him by name. Just once. We were watching a show, and there was some comment about a rooftop party in the city. She sipped her wine and said, almost dreamily, I saw on Instagram Daniel's throwing something at his new place this weekend. Looks insane. I didn't look away from the TV. Just said, oh, yeah, she said. Crazy how fast some people move up. I kept my face blank, heart steady. But my pulse ticked louder than the music from the show. There it was again, that itch in her voice. The subtle suggestion that life was happening somewhere else, and she'd missed the train by staying with me. And I wanted to ask, what does it mean to move up, really? Is it the square footage, the lighting, the illusion of a lifestyle? Or is it the ability to walk into your reflection and still recognize your soul? But I didn't ask. I let her talk. And I remembered the folders I kept, the screenshots, the financial records, the DMs she once forgot to delete. They weren't revenge weapons. They were reminders. Reminders that I had once been enough. Until enough wasn't flashy. Until enough couldn't be posted. Until enough didn't look like Daniel. 2 weeks later, the invitation came. A birthday party. Her friend Lara's place. One of those glossy, curated events where everyone drinks to be seen. I knew Daniel would be there. He and Lara used to date, briefly. I saw the posts. That world is small. Recycled lovers, repolished egos. That night, she looked stunning. Black dress, heels sharp enough to slice concrete. Perfume I hadn't smelled on her in over a year. You look beautiful, I told her. She smiled, a little surprised. You always say the right thing when it counts. She didn't know I meant it. But not for the reason she thought. At the party, I played the role. Holding her hand, greeting old acquaintances, sipping my whiskey slowly like someone with nothing to prove. She introduced me around, but always with a slight pause, like she was gauging their reactions. Still trying to figure out where I fit in her version of status. And then Daniel walked in. Tall, confident, perfectly undone hair. He wore the same jacket he'd worn in the staged photos of the penthouse. I knew because I'd seen every inch of those photos before he posted them. I had the originals. Their eyes met. Just briefly. Enough to send a ripple through her. He didn't acknowledge her. Not immediately. Just floated through the room like someone who knew the air would bend around him. But 20 minutes in, he approached. They exchanged pleasantries. Friendly, familiar, a bit charged. She introduced me last. Daniel, this is... Of course, he said, cutting her off, extending his hand to me. Nice to meet the man who keeps her grounded. I shook his hand. Firm. Steady. She keeps herself grounded, I said. I just make the coffee. They both laughed. Her, a bit too loudly. Him, already scanning the room for his next audience. But just before he turned away, he added, Love what you've done with the place, by the way. I tilted my head. Oh, the penthouse, he said. The one I'm renting. Killer space. Can't believe I landed it. She blinked. I watched it click behind her eyes like a light snapping on in a dark room. Wait. Her smile faltered. You've seen it? She asked. Daniel raised a brow, confused. Yeah? I live there. Moved in 2 months ago. Thought I told you. Her jaw tensed. I could see her doing the math. 2 months. Zillow. Tuesday. I turned to the bartender and asked for another drink. And when I looked back at her, she was staring at me. Really staring. What? I said gently. But she didn't answer. Because I think she already knew. And the truth, the full, terrifying truth, had just started to bloom behind her eyes. I didn't gloat. I didn't smirk or say, surprise. That wasn't the point. If I'd done any of that, it would have let her off the hook, made it a game. But this wasn't a game. It was a reckoning, one she had to live through in silence, the way I'd lived through her disappointment. She didn't speak for the rest of the night. On the drive home, the silence in the car was heavy, but not awkward. Intentional, like she was waiting for me to crack, to say something, to give her an out. I didn't. We pulled into the driveway, the automatic lights casting shadows on our porch. She sat there a moment before stepping out, clutching her coat like she'd been left out in the rain. Inside, she took off her shoes slowly. I walked past her, poured myself a glass of water, and leaned against the kitchen counter. When she finally turned to face me, her voice was tight. "You bought it." I nodded. "Through an LLC. Quietly. A week after you showed it to me on your phone." "And Daniel?" she asked, though she already knew. "I offered it to him through a broker. Premium rent. Full furnishing. Told him he was getting a steal. He was thrilled." She stepped forward. "Why would you do that?" I studied her. Not angry. Not smug. Just still. "Because you said I wasn't ambitious enough." She flinched. Not physically, but emotionally. I saw it land. The echo of her own words turning into a mirror she couldn't avoid. "I didn't mean." "You did," I said calmly. "And it's okay. You were honest. I needed that." She leaned against the wall, arms crossed tight, like she was trying to hold herself together. "I didn't know you had it in you. That makes two of us." Silence again. But this time, it wasn't heavy. It was hollow, like something between us had already collapsed, and we were just walking through the dust. "I wasn't trying to hurt you," she said. I nodded. "I know." And I believed her. That was the hardest part. She didn't cheat. Not with her body. But ambition had become her new lover. And I had become the quiet man in the background of her imagined life. Useful, dependable, uninspiring. When did we start measuring each other like this? I asked. She didn't answer. Because she didn't know. Maybe it was when Daniel got that magazine feature. Maybe it was when her friend married the guy with the trust fund and suddenly started calling us humble. Maybe it was when ambition stopped being about building something together and started being a competition I didn't know I was in. I walked over to the living room and grabbed a folder from beneath the coffee table, set it on the kitchen island between us. "What's this?" she asked. "Transfer papers," I said. "The apartment. It's yours now." She blinked. "What? You always wanted it. It's fully paid off. The lease ends next month. You can move in or sell it. It's up to you." She looked at the folder like it might bite her. "Why would you give me that?" I took a breath. "Because I'm leaving. Not in anger. Not in revenge. Just clarity." Tears welled in her eyes, and I think that's when she realized. I wasn't playing a part. I wasn't trying to punish her. I had truly let go. "I spent years trying to be the man you believed in," I said. "And when I finally became him, you weren't there anymore." She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. Not cruelly. Just done. "I still love you," she whispered. I nodded. "I believe you. But love, I'd learned, isn't always enough. Sometimes it's not even the betrayal that breaks you. It's the quiet erosion of respect. The slow drip of doubt that eats through concrete." I packed that night. Not much. Just a duffel and a coat. I left the house keys on the counter. At the door, she asked one last time, "Why him?" I looked at her. "Because he was the one you compared me to." Then I added, "And now, every time he walks across that penthouse, he'll be living in the shadow of the man you thought wasn't enough." I walked into the night. No anger. No triumph. Just peace. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's showing them you were never the obstacle, just the mirror. And they simply couldn't stand what they saw.